It goes across the street and the crowd picks up again. This is completely filled all around the Lincoln Memorial. Back to the Washington Monument. To be exact, the length from the base of the Lincoln Memorial to the Washington Monument is 8/10 of a mile. And it was almost completely filled with people. So here's the crowd size reporting. NBC says tens, perhaps hundreds of thousands. Associated Press apparently didn't look too close at their own picture and said tens of thousands. I've seen lots of others echoing the AP at tens of thousands. CNN wouldn't pick a number. They compared the task to counting the crowd. It's like how many jelly beans are inside a huge jar, end quote. CBS strangely put the number at 87,000. Well, that's a pretty specific number there. Well, you sure it wasn't 93,412? We'll never know the exact number, but anyone with eyes can see this crowd was in the hundreds of thousands. Traffic was clogged in D.C. after the event and before the event. Metro workers said they have never seen anything like it. The lines at the Metro subway stretched 2 football fields. They had to wait hours in lines just to get on the subway to get to the event. Restoring honor, which was the #1 topic on Google Trends for much of Saturday. Glenn Beck rally and Sarah Palin were also at the top of the Google search's hot list category throughout the day. Over 100,000 people were streaming on the event on the live Facebook event. It was carried on C-SPAN. I can't wait to see the numbers. By our estimates, this event falls about the 6th largest, all-time largest crowd at the mall. That is tied with the inauguration of Ronald Reagan. So the media can diminish the crowd size all they want, but the images speak for themselves. Gee, who thought we should have many, many photographers and cameras? And who happened to have a ticket at 10 o'clock at the top of the Washington Monument and a photographer there so we could capture these things? Oh, I guess that would be us. Fool us once, and shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Of course, the press hasn't hesitated in the past to give high estimates on Obama crowds. He's drawn some pretty huge crowds. After all, it's happened in history before, as he says. When there's trouble, someone like this usually appears. Here's a picture of 80,000 people in Denver. These numbers are all taken by the press. Here is 200,000 people in Berlin. Here is 100,000 people in St. Louis. By the way, we took this one, St. Louis, because the media happily settled on 100,000 people for that speech. Everyone agrees 100,000. We knew the reports would, they would underestimate 828's crowd, and we knew that the media wouldn't get the message, and they didn't. And they didn't. Tomorrow's program, we're going to show you how many 100,000 St. Louis crowd areas can fit into the area that we just showed you at the mall. I want to show you the lead stories. The lead stories in the newspaper are here. I'm grateful that this is all in the news, but I read all of these stories, or much of these stories, and it would be nice if they reported on what we talked about. But all they reported on is things like it wasn't a Tea Party, it wasn't racist, it wasn't violent, it was peaceful. Well, has anybody filed a story on what it was about? Did anyone bother to report on the Black Robe Regiment? We had 240 men and women of the cloth on stage. Pastors, priests, rabbis, and yes, imams, linked arms. They were talking about the big principles of life. We talked about, there they are as they were coming on, we talked about faith and God. Did anybody think that maybe we should, I don't know, report on that? I issued a challenge, 40 days and 40 nights. It's a challenge based on the Declaration of Independence. Did anyone think that that was worth noting? Here's the story the press gave you in the end. This was a rally that was nonviolent, not racist, and not a Tea Party. And 87,000 people showed up. Yet the media also is reporting that history was made. Well, how? Why? I'm going to tell you something now that no one knows. On Saturday night, I woke my family up. It was about 11 o'clock when I got the news that the Smithsonian had called. They want items from the event preserved for the Smithsonian. Well, gee, now, why would America's Museum of History want something about a rally that had 87,000 people and just wasn't racist? Is that something worthy of being in a museum or being held in archives? The reason it's not reported is the media doesn't understand things like this. And the other reason is because those who do understand know that if it's explained and you understand what it really is, it could change the course of our country. More on that next.
Oh, say can you see?
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join me in the saying of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We had an amazing weekend in Washington, D.C. Hundreds of thousands of people on the Mall. The critics try to diminish the event. The crowd estimates have been strikingly low for that. But the only thing the critics could be right about is when they say this event will change nothing. They could be right. It's really up to you. If you don't take the momentum carried from Saturday and go forward, nothing will change. That was the core of the message this weekend. It is up to you as an individual. You change the world. We honored 3 people with merit badges in 3 different categories, yet no one seemed to notice. Faith, hope, and charity. 3 amazing people who are living examples of what we all should strive for and people we can teach our children about. They embody everything the day was all about. C.L. Jackson received a badge of merit for faith. This is a guy who risked his life to stand in the very spot with Martin Luther King. Later in life, he took a stand against many in his own political party and faith and lost almost all of his congregation. Albert Pujols, he received the merit badge for hope. Now here's a guy, despite all of his fame and fortune, puts God before everything else. This man hasn't changed with all of his success. He devotes his life to honoring God. He honors his wife. He honors his job. It shows with his tireless charity efforts and commitment to family. The merit badge for charity went to the most charitable person I know, John Huntsman Sr. John wasn't able to be there for the event because he was honoring family. His granddaughter was getting married. Receiving on his behalf was an amazing woman in her own right, a breast cancer survivor who wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for the Huntsman Cancer Institute. Now, I'll tell you that one of the people on the stage that Saturday had organized a prayer breakfast for Obama during the election. She was an Obama organizer. Gee, isn't that interesting? Because it's almost like we said, faith, hope, and charity eclipses politics. It's about honor. Sarah Palin gave a moving speech that only a mother of a soldier could. She told stories of 3 amazing servicemen who joined us. Marcus Luttrell, the lone survivor. Eddie Wright, who lost both of his hands in battle and went back to work. And Tim Kirk, who's a prisoner at the Hanoi Hilton. You heard from Martin Luther King Jr.'s niece, Alveda King. She risked everything to be there. She has the gift of communicating in her blood. She eloquently expressed her profound desire for Americans to turn back to God. You also heard from another amazing man that America should know about, this guy, Dave Reaver. He's a man whose face was scarred beyond recognition during battle. He had a phosphorus grenade go off right here in his hand in Vietnam. Those burn at 5,000 degrees. Half the temperature of the sun. He thought his life was over. He told me backstage that he had screamed one day and put his face in the pillow to scream. He didn't want anybody to hear him scream, but when he lifted his face out of the pillow, he couldn't help himself. Everyone heard him scream because his face remained in the pillow. He thought his wife was going to leave him. He was alone, and he thought his life was over. She kissed him right here on the forehead, the only good place in his face, as he says it, and looked him in his good eye. And she said, I'm not going anywhere. He dedicated his life to God. You can look at the scars, or you can see what's inside. These are people of honor. These are people of faith. We heard from them and told their stories, not just so our hearts would be warmed knowing that we have people like that in America. We heard from them so we would be motivated to strive to be better in our own lives, to see regular people and the things that they can accomplish when they set their mind to it, and then teach it to their children. These are pretty hard examples to live up to. I know I need my spouse. That's why I encouraged you on Saturday to unite with your spouse. Get on the same page with your spouse. But it's also why we had the new Black Robe Regiment that also no one in the media is telling you. This, the crowd behind me, is 240 priests, pastors, and rabbis of all denominations. There were imams on the stage, standing together to preach one truth: individual liberty, and that your rights come from God. These people are going to come under attack. The very gates of hell are going to open up against people. Alvida's already seen it. So had several of the other people that were on stage. Amazing things are happening in America. But they don't continue to happen if you don't pick up the challenge. When we come back, I will tell you the thrust of my speech that wasn't printed in any newspaper, no matter what city it came from. It's the 40-day and 40-night challenge. It's an amendment to what I told you on this program about a month ago. That's next.
America today begins to turn back to God.
That saved a wretch like me. I once was lost.
I know as much as the media wants to try to make this event about anything other than the truth of what it was about, me or anything else, I want you to make your own decision. Don't believe me. Just watch it yourself. If you missed it, go to Insider Extreme portion of glennbeck.com and watch my speech. It has been posted today. I think you'll find the truth. I know you and I have a special relationship, and that you trust me, and I value that trust. I have been praying for answers. I've told you on this program before that I recognize I am in this place at this time for a reason, just as you are. I have said in the strongest possible terms that I think what God is telling us is get behind him. I think that's what he's saying. Use him as a shield. There are enemies of man's freedom, and that's an enemy of God, not of you. They will destroy themselves with the purifying fire of truth. And that's what this means. If you read the Moses story and you connect it all the way to George Whitefield, I mean, if I could spend a couple of hours with you sitting on a couch, I could tell you the story from ancient Babylon all the way to today, and you would see the thread. It's the same thread, the same message over and over, the purifying fire of the burning bush. I was fascinated by that. But what is it? It's God, but it's truth. Just like the Pharaoh fell. He fell because he wasn't based in truth. It's the same with us, the same with the Roman Empire. It's not based in truth. It's based in lust for money or power or whatever. So when I figured that out, I thought, okay, well, we have to make sure that we're standing in the truth.